Hi, and welcome to another episode of Movie Reviews with Jonathan. Of course, I'm your host, Jonathan. And today on the show, I'm going to be reviewing A Good Day to Die Hard. Let's get started. Okay, well, I'm a pretty big fan of the series. The original Die Hard is probably one of my favorite movies of all time. Going into this film, I had pretty high hopes for it. But unfortunately, with a good number of films, it just doesn't meet my expectations. It was pretty much your standard action flick, explosions everywhere. If you just take out the Die Hard name, it's like any other film. There's no real sense of purpose to anything. There are a few good scenes where John McClane kicked a pretty good bit of butt, but it just really wasn't that good. I was hoping for like a Die Hard 1 level caliber action film, but it just felt so contrived and just so boring. It's like, oh, another explosion here, another explosion here. It's like, I've seen this before in so many other films, so I was just hoping for something more. The plot of this one is John McClane finds out that his son is in a Russian prison, so he goes over to Russia and tries to find out what's happening with that. So he goes over there, finds out, and then he kind of teams up with his son. And one thing that made the original Die Hard so great, it was all about Bruce Willis kicking butt by himself. He didn't have anybody else. And since you've added this character of his son, it's the banter back and forth. It really isn't all that funny. There's certain scenes where they're trying to be heartfelt, but it just falls flat on its face. It's so pointless. I mean, like, here's Bruce Willis, a guy who's taken down so many bad guys, and then you introduce the character of his son who's trying to be all big and tough and bad, and it's just, I just find it ridiculous. The CG was another aspect of this film that was pretty poor. I was expecting some good computer-generated graphics, but oh my god, like, it was terrible. It looks like something that would have been made in like 2007, 2008. It's 2013. You think you can have quality level CG that looks realistic. One thing I do wish that they did a couple times, but not as much as I would have liked, is if they paid more homage to like the previous films, or more references back. They kept like referencing the fact that he's this great detective. I don't know. There's one scene in particular near the end of the film, and there's a shot. It's a direct correlation to one of the climax scenes of the first film. That was a nice nod to that, but I just wish there was more of it, and more kind of remember what I did back in New York, that type of thing. It felt worse than Live Free or Die Hard, which was not really that good either, but I honestly enjoyed that film much more than I did this one. And then the whole entire Russia thing, because John McClane is known from being from the States, he's known for being from New York, and then to take him out of the U.S. into this foreign country, it could have been really interesting. It's like a great premise, but they didn't take any advantage of what like Russia has to offer. They do go to Chernobyl and kind of explore that, but I feel like the whole entire like scene was completely pointless. Like, some of the guys are in like these heavy suits, you know, for radiation protection, and then John McClane just goes in there, you know, with a bunch of weapons and stuff. It's like, what's the point? I thought that was a completely ridiculous scene that they could have pulled off so much better than they did. I had such high hopes for this movie, and it just unfortunately couldn't deliver. That's one thing that the first movie had, is because even though it was one guy and he was in this tower, it was much more realistic. And because it was more realistic, the action scenes were more heightened, so it gave a bigger punch. This movie, literally, there's cars blowing up, helicopters blowing up, everything's blowing up. There's no sense to any of the explosions. There's like, it's any other action film. Like I said earlier, if you just take out John McClane, it's another standard action film that's not as good as other ones that are out there. When you introduce somebody else into John McClane's world, it just really doesn't work. And it just seems like Bruce Willis really wasn't enjoying himself in this one. It's just like, okay, Die Hard's a huge franchise, we're just gonna milk some more money off of the name. It's really an unfortunate thing. I would like to say I would want to see another Die Hard film, but the way they're going now, if they do make another one, it's just gonna be even worse. I'm giving this a 7 out of 10. I just had such high hopes for it. If you want to see it, I understand if you're a Die Hard fan like I was, but prepare to be somewhat disappointed. There's a lot of action, a lot of stuff blowing up. If you're just going in there for the explosions and mindless fun, sure, you'll like the film, but it's not as gritty and as awesome as the first one or even the second one was. I'd save your money, wait for it to come out in Redbox, go see something else this weekend. Please rate, like, and subscribe, and until next time, yippee-ki-yay, mother.